AI is freaking there to help you navigate through the stuff that you don't love doing and that frankly you're not amazing at.
I wonder sometimes if leaders feel like it's cheating, if it's taking the easy way out. I kind of liken it to Cliff Notes.
Welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Kristi Beaufore and me, Michele. Kristi, what's your title now? What's your title still at Sutter Health? Share that with
Senior
me.
Director of the Senior Director of the Integration Management Office,
See, do you
Sutter
see
Health.
now why I asked Kristi to say that and not me? It's a long title. It's good to have you back. The topic we're going to talk about is one that's you and I have chatted about a lot offline, and it's this space or convergence or the Venn diagram, if you will, around AI and leadership and how it steps in, because there's a pendulum swing of opinions out there. And I know you've experienced, I know I experience on people allowing or the willingness to step into play in that space. So the quote that we found through Julian, who by the way is the name of my chat buddy, we landed on that name. So if you want to do that, do it. It's kind of fun. AI is a tool and leadership is still a human job. Um, and I've had these conversations with other people because there is a fear and a worry that AI is going to replace all things. And there's a thing I heard this morning when someone else was talking, because there was an article that got put out around, if you use AI, you basically are, atrophying your brain. It's shrinking away to nothing. And so the thing that I think about here is the harder part of the job that we have as leaders is the human aspect of it. It's not straightforward. It's not a one size fits all. You've got to be able to read the room, develop emotional intelligence, political savvy, all the stuff. Manage your own stories that are going on. Um, and that being said, AI is freaking there to help you navigate through the stuff that you don't love doing and that frankly you're not amazing at. Kristi, what's your thought?
I wonder sometimes if leaders feel like it's cheating, if it's taking the easy way out. I kind of liken it to Cliff Notes,
Hmm.
and it's there to help, not to take the place of. And I think in your what you referenced is perfect in that we should be spending as leaders time in the people part of leadership, not in the minutia of analyzing, creating decks, creating, whatever it is that's taking the time away from our people. And if we have a tool that can help us do that, let's take advantage of that. It used to be an encyclopedia. It used to be, and we've come a long way. And so think of this as your new encyclopedia.
Well, but it's more than that, right? Because I think about it. So I'm also partners with a group of guys, and we do AI consulting. And so we just did a Copilot training, right, on foundations. I'm going to say it's foundations because it's a 6-hour virtual course. But you're literally, and I told people at the beginning of it, it's like the smorgasbord, right? That you go when the buffet line, like I'm gonna have a little of this and a little of this and a little, I mean, you just are sampling all of it. And that's essentially what you can do is scratch the surface to have awareness about what potential and capabilities are. But the thing is what can you do with it? Right? What are the opportunities? So a lot of organizations they use Microsoft 365. I'm going to give a real hardcore example. And in that space, are you the best of the best in creating PowerPoint presentations? How long does it currently take you to find images that you want to represent what it is you're presenting on? If you're anything like me,
Mhm.
there's a ton of time that I spent looking for stuff. If you're looking for files or documentation in SharePoints that you have access to, or your OneDrive that you have access to, and you know it exists, you don't remember what it's called or where you put it, Copilot can help. When I think about outside the ecosystem, what Microsoft's created, there are so many other tools that will help you summarize, synthesize. I was talking to a leader the other day. She's new in this organization. They have job descriptions, but they don't have the competency ladder, right? So where is that boundary of where you're sitting from one role to advance to the next one, right? Because we have people in our organizations that think they've been there 6 months or a year and they deserve a promotion. Okay, based on what? What are you doing what we're currently paying you to do? And if we're doing what we currently are paying you to do, then what's promotable? What's advanceable? Or are you stepping outside those boundaries? And do people have a clear idea of what we're paying you for and those skill sets and the level that you perform? And what does it look like to go to the next level? She's like, I don't have time to do that. And I said, no, but you have a tool that can help you. She goes, oh my God, I didn't even think about
Mhm.
that. So it's one of those things of take your job descriptions, and I'm not talking about putting your, IP in places and scrub it with the name of your organization, but this job descriptions that you have and say, hey, I want to create that ladder, that competency ladder that helps people figure out are they at the next level or not? And have a rolling conversation with AI around that. Don't go, well, I did it once and it's not what I need. Have a conversation. It's a learning model, right? So iterate on that stuff. These are real examples. Kristi, how are you using it? I mean,
Mhm.
because that's one of the things we talked about is it's a tool that help you be better. I know you just recently went through an executive development program
Mhm.
that you tapped into stuff in other ways. So how are you using it and how can you encourage leaders to like get off the bench and go play?
Yeah, I mean, even what you said in building your brand or building who you need to be in your environment, you are going to have to feed into whatever whatever innovation you're using several times to kind of get, because even you don't know what you want to say.
Mm,
So if you put in ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever, this thought about what you wanted to say, it's going to spit something out, and then it should really just get, that should be your kind of aha, and to say, oh, actually I want to add this, or I want to make this change, or I want to learn more about this. And you just keep building, and then as you do that, instead of what you said is abandon it, as you're building on it, then you start getting excited because you go, whoa, this is now kind of moving into something I wasn't even thinking about.
mm,
I'm going to ask it to do this and see what I get out of it. And then it really expands into areas that you probably weren't even thinking about before,
mhm,
but you do have to feed it. And
mhm.
that's the way that it's going to learn. And that's the way that you're going to build on it. It's not a one sentence and you're kind of a one and done.
Yeah.
And I will say it's also really great in um, kind of even with you throughout the day, organizing if you have it embedded in your work. You said synthesizing all of your work, being able to bring everything together. It can even go into your email, into your
Hmm.
calendar, and say, hey, Kristi, you're missing these things.
Hmm.
Um, Here's where you need to focus. I keep seeing that Michelle's asking you for this and you haven't responded, or maybe you can make it better. Um,
Hmm.
it's it's game changing if you let it be, but it's a tool that you have to learn. You have to
Hmm.
know what you can do with it, and you have to be willing to put a little bit of time into it.
It's interesting because what you're talking about is Copilot. And so when it sits in that ecosystem of Microsoft 365, it has access to the stuff that you have access to. So it is looking at your email. It can look at your OneDrive. It can look at SharePoints you have access to. You can also schedule agents to do different work, right? So maybe it is I
Mhm.
I mean, because you sit in a corporate world, when I sat there, I easily got 150 more emails a day, easily. And a lot of emails that I don't need to respond to, I do need to respond to. So I could set an agent up to look every day at a certain time before I leave for the day to say, help me, what did I miss? So this thing will run every day on emails that come in, right? You can do it to where, set it up and say, where am I missing an opportunity? Where am I duplicating stuff, right? It will come back and go, well, you've looked at these 4 files. We created in the class an agent that's almost like your executive assistant. And I want you to help me figure out where the opportunities exist in my day and my processes because you're sitting on frickin' my ecosystem of the work that I'm doing. So where am I tapping into things more than once? Where am I, churning away at emails or whatever's going on? Where do I have emails sitting in my inbox that haven't been touched? I mean, like that freak out moment that you wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh my God, did I respond to that? Well, set up, an agent that can flag that stuff to say, hey, if I have emails from these people, you have to flag it for me so that I make sure they don't go unresponded to. Because it's just like text messages now. If someone texts me and I don't see it, I have all those spam ones and notifications that come in. And so all of a sudden the person I responded to, they're not in my line of sight anymore. They're not at the top.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's all these things that you can
Mhm.
do if you're in the ecosystem of Copilot. The other thing that comes to mind for me, because I think it's important for people to have real practical applications of this stuff, is if you're crafting contracts or you're creating executive summaries or whatever, and you're in the Copilot space or outside in, Claude or Perplexity or ChatGPT, the other spaces with LLMs, as long as you scrub it outside of Copilot, the ecosystem, they can summarize things for you. Notebook within Copilot now, you can have, let's say someone sends you, and I'm just going to make stuff up right now. Let's say you've got a 45-minute drive to go from one office to the next, right? And someone sent you this 45-page report. You can pull it in a notebook within Copilot. There's an audio option, and if you don't have it yet, you will have it because it's rolling out. I know it's in the UK and large chunks of the UK, but there's an audio option that you literally could be driving down the road and this thing will talk to you about the report like an Audible book. So there's so many tips
Mhm.
and tricks that we can use AI. And I want to address your cheating comment because if you feel like it's cheating, then it's cheating and you're going to show up that way. If it's a tool and
Mhm.
you're just celebrating the use of the tool and sharing the use of tool with other people and people on your team to say, oh my God, did you know you can do XYZ? You take the cheating narrative, right, and energy out of that thing because it's not. You're not, someone didn't say, I want you to do this report and you can't use any AI. So if they say, I want you to do this report and you can't use AI and you use AI, that's cheating. But people aren't coming to you
Right.
going, I want you to do this report and you can't use AI. They're not saying that. They provided a tool if
Mhm.
you're in an organization. They expect you to use it.
Well, and I think to your point of if that's how you're going to show up, that's how it's going to feel. But translate it into, uh, again, going to the way back, if it was an
Mm-hmm.
encyclopedia, or if it was, even, let's move a little forward. Now we're Googling stuff. So we were
Mm-hmm.
able to find articles faster. This is now the tool that's bringing that Google platform together where you had all of those articles and it's bringing it together for you
Mm-hmm.
in one complete way. And
Mm-hmm.
that way you're not spending hours combing through these articles looking for what you need. It's bringing it all together for you. And if that's really powerful and very time saving. And I
Mm-hmm.
will say on the contracts piece, if you're doing contracts, if you're doing anything where you need to understand what language is similar, where there's outliers, and you
Mm-hmm.
feed all that into, again, whatever platform it is that you're using, and you ask, where is the similarity? Where are the differences? Show me. Give me a table on that. That way you can create your new look
Mm-hmm.
addressing those things, and you are not spending hours
Mm-hmm.
highlighting and going through each word to say, I saw this over here. I got to run back over to this contract. And then you can get to the work that you really need to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
not spending 2 hours trying to find what you need. And it's really game changing. Again, I keep
Oh,
saying that because it is.
well, because and then all of a sudden, this painful project or thing that you have to do that you know you have to do is no longer on your list. Like you just keep pushing it out and pushing it out until you just have to do it. Which, oh, by the way, ages us because that's the equivalent of a honeydew list, right? It's like that list that we have to do.
Yeah.
That takes more years off your life than smoking. All right. So
Hmm.
you've just given years back to your life when you do that. And the contract thing I'll say, because I do contracts with other organizations, because I'll contract as a coach or to come in and do leadership development, workshops, that sort of thing. And so I end up with different contracts, and I'm not an attorney. So I don't know if certain language in contracts that people want that I'm going to be able to uphold that or what I need to be aware of. And so I can put that in there and say, hey, what concerns should I have? What should I be aware of? And chat, Julian, my chat, will come back with this, this, and this. If you're good with all this stuff, here are the insurance liability limits. Here's the risk. And so I don't, I mean, I can then get clarity in layman's language of what this stuff means to be able to make a decision whether or not it's something I can comply with. I'm good with it. But it's all these kind of
Hmm.
things that we're able to more easily digest large volumes of information because we're expected to.
Well, and it's hard to potentially get on the calendars of the people that you need to bounce
Mm.
something off of. So everybody's really busy. Even getting 30 minutes can be tough. I say, what would I have asked Michelle if I had her in the room? And I don't have her in the room right now. We're not going to be able to talk for another week. I can't wait that long. I can use that platform, whatever that platform is, again, Copilot, ChatGPT, whatever it is, and ask the questions and get that back in real time so I can start moving along with what I need to and get those tasks completed faster. And then when I get to meet with Michelle, we can talk about what a more finished, refined product looks like
Mhm.
instead of maybe going through the time it takes to get to the end.
Mhm.
And that's again a great tool just to kind of get you going and moving in the right direction of what you need to do. And to your point, get you excited because
Mhm.
before you're like, ooh, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
wait to get Michelle, and then I might have to wait to get Julie, and then I have to get Amy, and this is gonna take me forever, and I have 4 other projects. Well, now I just got the bulk of it done in a couple of minutes, and we're going to be able to get to the end of this quickly, and I'm really feeling satisfied with the product.
Yeah. The stuff you remind me of, some of the things that we shared in the training that are super helpful is, let's say that you've done a report or there's a project notes or whatever it may be on a strategy or report out or status. You can take that collateral that you've created and create a PowerPoint to do a report out on it, which is a starting point for you. And then you can move slides around, you can change visuals, you can do all that stuff. So the stuff that's a heavy lift, right? That you're starting from a blank document, you're no longer having to think through the flow. You're now in a position of being an editor, right? To where, and most of us are great editors. We suck at creating content. And so you can remove
Hmm.
and edit and add and replace and do all that stuff. I love word cloud. So you can create, and we used to do word clouds all the time, right? We get feedback from, let's say, patient satisfaction surveys or comments from employees or workshops that were done. And we would capture what's one word that describes how you're feeling about whatever, right? You can take that information now and just upload that document into Copilot or have it reference it rather if you're in Copilot and create a word cloud. Say, create a word cloud. And boom, you don't have to go looking for the free version of word cloud and then upload a file into that thing. You're just referencing. So all this stuff, it's powerful. And you're creating these visuals that help people. It's like infographics that now, and the create tab within Copilot, you can go create infographics and posters and all kinds of stuff. You can use brand colors. within your organization. And so it's just all this stuff that before, when I was at Sutter, we had a certain website with marketing that had our brand colors and the fonts and all the stuff that we had to use. Well, now you can pull it in and say, okay, here's the brand kit that I want for this stuff. Here's the logo, here's all the stuff. And then you're creating with that right there. You're not having to manually go in and adjust the color numbers or I mean, it's powerful stuff because you're still going to have to produce this stuff, but you're not having to go
Yes.
piece this part and go find it and go grab this one. I remember what that was like.
Well, and if you're responsible for creating the strategy, putting together a project plan, it can also really help you understand industry best standards.
Mm.
So, best practices, it can put it in a very succinct manner. You can ask it to put it in a grid. It can be put in, I mean, if you need a Gantt chart doing, looking at timelines and I mean, it will do what you need it to do without you sitting through doing those tedious things and pulling the stuff into the type of grid and then making sure that it is all look formatted correctly. It will
Mhm.
do that for you. And then you can get on with actually creating the strategy based on the knowledge that you've gained really quickly. And you're not waiting and waiting and waiting and hunting
Mhm.
down what you need. It's
Yeah.
it's a great tool for best practices as well.
So how much time has it saved you, Kristi, do you think? Is it time saving? I think it's a time saving and a combination of I can actually do stuff I wasn't able to do before.
It's time saving. I would say it's absolute time saving, not only for me, for the people that I may have tapped to
Hmm.
support part of the work, because now I'm able to do this and get it done. So not only is it time saving, it's actually been kind of almost that experience of work of what you said earlier. I actually enjoy doing this because now I can get on creating the parts that I really enjoy and I know really well, and I'm not sitting dreading trying to
Yeah.
figure out these other pieces because this part is done for me. So I would also say there's a joy of work component.
Yeah.
And I get to spend more time in that leadership space with people talking and doing those pieces and parts in my day because I'm not bogged down in some of that analysis fact finding mission.
Yeah. What have you noticed with people on your team or maybe colleagues that you work with that maybe were resistant at one point and have embraced it?
I think it starts with something small when somebody sees that just this little small thing that it can do.
Hmm.
And people smile now when they say, "Oh, I used ChatGPT for that. Oh, I use Copilot for. Oh, Copilot can do this," and they just get this big smile, like, "I actually didn't spend 4 hours trying to create this thing, and I can move on to what I need to." And it's amazing the smile. You see the resistors at the beginning, not going to do it. That absolutely not going to do it, and then the big, huge smile that they have when they do it.
It's funny. It takes me back to I remember I was at Sutter Health. We were I don't think I was director of improvement system for the Valley North area yet. I think I might have still been management education standards. And Sabrina, who was on the Sarah Miller's team, we were working on something and she had come with this template, this PowerPoint that she had created, and it was so professional looking. I'm like, what? And she goes, and it was a design function that you could do, that it was a newer type function, right? And within PowerPoint that you could design. And so as long as you weren't loading it up with too much crap, it would recommend different design views that you could do. And I'm like, this is life changing, right? And so I look at that little functionality that we had then, and granted, it still exists, but we just flipped it on its head with the ability to do what we can do now. Because before it was like death by PowerPoint, and you had people that had literally mini War and Peace novels on each slide. And I'm like, can this is a handout, so
Mhm.
can you just send me the handout? Because I don't need you reading it to me, right? And so I think
Mhm.
that it's just gonna really change the experience of people. Um, and I encourage you not to be afraid of it. I mean, the stuff that's going around about, your brain's going to shrivel up and everything else. And I'm going to say it like anything else. If you decide not to have an active role in life, yeah, your brain's probably going to shrivel up. Are you plugged into a video game and not thinking? That's not this. And what I would say is this is what you make it. As long as you keep it a tool and not a replacement for you, right? And it's able to get you over those humps of the stuff that just really you got no energy from whatsoever. Then what you're in is you're in a space that you're energized more and more throughout the day. Because the stuff from before that you're like, oh God, I can't do that. You're like, I can do this. And it's a completely different
Yeah.
feeling. So, um,
Well, and I would say that it is actually um, kind of not forced me because I've wanted to do it. When you're, searching maybe on a best practice or an industry standard and you go, oh, I didn't know that organization was doing that. Tell me more.
hmm
So before you might have been so pressed to get that thing out really fast that you actually didn't take the time to understand how and why this group over here, this organization over here decided to do what they're doing. Now you have that time, and I can go in and say, summarize for me what this organization's doing. And then if I want to go deeper in something, I can say, go deeper in bullet point two. And
hmm
now and you're reading and you're absorbing this, and now you're saying, wow, okay, I'm going deeper in the thing that really um, speaks to me versus combing through a bunch of stuff. I throw stuff out there just because I need to get this done and I need to move on to the next thing. So I would challenge that you are actually going to
Yeah,
learn more
yeah.
about what you want to know and what you need to know.
Um, are you better? Are you and your team better at what you do?
I think we will be. Just as with anything, you're going through the learning phase and you're seeing
hmm
what works and what doesn't work, what speaks to other people. And I think we will be better. It's helping us to understand what we need to do and how we
hmm
need to do it and what the possibility of the timelines are. It's helping us develop all of those in a much more succinct way to get to that end goal. So I do anticipate it will make us
hmm
better.
You don't think you're better now? I would challenge that. I would be shocked, Kristi, if you're not better now. Seriously.
Yeah. Obviously that's hard to just come out and say, yeah, I'm better now. But I think that we are moving towards what we need and to be um, really more thoughtful about it quicker, and we are learning more. So yes, in that aspect, we are better. I see every day us moving to even, that even better as the days go by and we use AI better and we understand it more and put it in the
Yeah.
places where it can really excel.
Because I have to wonder, it's like, we all only have 24 hours in a day. We
Hmm.
do need to sleep, during that time. We do need to, it's important to balance with something other than the work that we do, that we get a paycheck for in exchange for that. Is if you were to look back on, I'm going to say your life now and what you do and that life balance, as you call it, right? Which I agree with. Um, where are you now compared to where you were, I want to say 8 months ago? As far as that balance piece, how would you score yourself 8 months ago and score yourself now?
Yeah, I would definitely say there's more of a life balance,
Mm-hmm.
and I would probably more liken it now to a work, again, kind of more of that experience and joy of work, because
Mm-hmm.
I get to my energy is feeding off of other people and really that leadership focus, which I get to do more of when
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bogged down in creating decks, creating content,
Mm-hmm.
creating, whatever the thing is, but I'm supporting and helping people. And I get to do more of that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is life balance, but it's also joy of work. well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's important for people to look at all aspects of this and not just because I imagine if we were to do cycle times on how long it took you to do stuff, in the process improvement world, that you probably dramatically improved in cycle time to create outputs that you create. And they're probably more well informed and, fewer mistakes, if you will, because you're in a position and the brain energy to actually edit what's going on instead of just seeing what you expect to see. But the other part of it, because I don't get paid a commission for people to start using AI, in their world. But the other part of it is to realize that you are getting more joy out of what you do. And if you're a leader by embracing AI, you do have more time for the human side of that job if that's what brings you joy. It doesn't everyone. Not everyone loves leading people. But it will give you more time for it. So you're not telling yourself this story, I don't have time. Because there is plenty of time to get everything done that needs to be done. Use the tools that are available to you and play with it. And don't be afraid not to know how. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube. I mean, my God, you can tap into our course that we just did in Copilot space. Um, Reach out and ask questions. I mean, I'm meeting with someone tomorrow night that we're going to screen share on Zoom and walk them through on, using stuff and using AI and walking through it. So there's plenty of options out there, and I just encourage you, if you hadn't before, to step in, dip a toe in it, and figure out what it is, because done thoughtfully and intentionally, it's a tool that can help us be better leaders, or at least create time, bandwidth, capacity to do the human side of what truly is leadership, because we manage things and we lead people. So, yeah. What are one or two things, Kristi, you want people to walk away with on this? It's such an important topic, and I encourage people not to sit it out.
I would say, just to wrap up what you were saying, we know very often that an initiative or a project will fail because there's a change management piece, and we
Mm,
don't spend enough time in the change management piece of it because we are all so pressed for time. We need to get this initiative out, we need to get it moving forward, we need to get to the goal, and we forget the change management piece. If AI can help you gather what you need for that initiative, put it all together, and it saves you time to spend more time in that change management world, you are going to get to that outcome that you were striving for maybe a little faster, but you're
hmm
certainly will have brought the people along in a more thoughtful way, and you'll move through the change management piece in the right way. So
hmm
that's what I want people to walk away with, is how is it going to help you succeed in that overall project and give you more time where you really need to spend the time to be successful. Creating a pretty deck is not where you're going to find success. So let it help you in those pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to smile because change management, I mean, it always comes back to helping people navigate change, us, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be an initiative. It's the smallest freaking change. And guess what? AI is also a change. So what we're trying to do is create awareness for you, right? So I think about pro-size ad car model. We're going to create awareness for you. So you make the personal decision to step in and support it. That's D. We're giving you some knowledge around what it is and figure out where you get the rest of it. And the ability piece is just a matter of time. And the reinforcement, I guarantee that once you start in that space, you can't unlearn what you got exposed to. And I don't think you're going to go back. I don't think
No,
it
you're
would
never.
be, yeah, it would be crazy. So, not that you're crazy, but you know what I mean. Um, I appreciate the time in the room. I appreciate the topic. Hopefully people found value in it, because I know I'm pushing hard on it, encouraging people, because I just don't want people to be left out of the game. And it's a really
Mhm.
cool game that's going on at the time. And just don't be afraid of it. Be thoughtful, intentional, but don't be afraid. So until next time, this is Leadership Soundbites with Michelle and Kristi, and have a freaking awesome day.